welcome to the Utah Puck Report. Man, we got a lot to go over. Sorry I missed you last week. Holidays took the week off, and but we missed a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff's happening today. So there's stuff I want to address about the Utah Mammoth, and then obviously we're going to have to talk about the Utah Grizzlies. The Utah Grizzlies and I kind of got in a feud because I wanted to report on them being sold. They didn't want me to report on them being sold, so they've cut me off, and I kind of cut them off. But we got to talk about stuff that's going on with them tonight, and there's a lot to get after. First off, let's talk about the Utah Mammoth. Let's talk about the game last night against the Winnipeg Jets. And, well, you're going to be hearing this Tuesday morning. So 2 nights ago against the Winnipeg Jets, then we're going to talk a little bit about them going into Colorado to play the best team in the NHL and how that's going to go and what we can hope for and what kind of positivity we can throw their way. And I wanted to do a segment where I talked about, instead of focusing on underachieving players, because that seems to be what the media and everybody on social media wants to talk about. They want to talk about underachieving guys. I'm going to tell you about some of the guys that have really stood out, and also who we have in the system that's going to help us as we go further along. And I know I've been pumping the tire of a couple of the guys that we have that are still in juniors. They're not even in the AHL yet. And then we got Owen Allard, who's one of my picks to click, if you will, not to score a goal, but to make the NHL. There's just something about his game that I think is an X factor, that I think he can be one of the guys that go. But let's talk about that game last night. Let's talk about the fact that the Mammoth were able to jump up to a 3-0 lead on arguably the best goalie in the NHL right now. Maybe not this season, but he has been a 2-time Vezina winner in Connor Hellebuyck. And kind of, it's a surprise to everybody what's going on in Winnipeg right now. You know, you think you're frustrated as a Mammoth fan, but think about just being on top of the league and then kind of not doing well in playoffs and for a couple of years in a row, and you see that window that we work so hard to build, and then you see that window start to close. So things have got to be rough in Winnipeg. But last night, like I said, the Mammoth jumped up, and it was a fun game to watch. I was having a great time, just watching some creativity. And if we had the one that goes off the post a couple times that we thought was a goal, and then there was a couple times that Hellebuyck made like 2-3 real tight saves with point blank shots, and I was like, man, he is so good. I love that compactness. I was talking to Cole Bagley, my KSL counterpart there, and we were just comparing goalies in the league, and I was explaining to him what I thought was better. We were comparing Veggie's strengths to Hellebuyck's strengths and Veggie's weaknesses to Hellebuyck's weaknesses. And, it's just a good conversation to have. And if you ever get a chance to just really watch how these goalies play and look at the differences in their styles, because there was a lot of difference in styles last night. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was a good game. It's disappointing to give points to go into overtime against somebody in your conference. That's never a good thing, because you don't want to be battling those guys and have that point come back to haunt you. So you want to keep that 3-goal lead. But we got a great goal from Lawson Krause to start it off. And then JJ Peterka, it's good to see him just continually getting better and better, fitting in more and more with the team. And then welcome back Kerf. Alexander Kerfoot puts one in, and that gives Utah that 3-0 lead. I thought there were some dumb penalties, and again, I'm not one that blames refs on things, but I think the penalty on Spicy Tuna was well drawn by the Winnipeg player, who just basically went in and created contact, and it was almost like a soccer dive, almost unacceptable in the game of hockey to do that kind of stuff. It's not us to dive and draw calls, and to me that's exactly what I felt happened. I think it evened up later. I think there was a bad call the other way. But either way, the refs are human, and they're going to make mistakes, but they also get paid a lot of money, so I think they should be criticized. If you're going to criticize the athletes, why can't you criticize the officials? They're out there. They're professionals. They're getting paid. They should have to stand up and face the music. Why don't they do press conferences after every game and explain their play? I think it's only fair. I think that's something we should really push for. Not to, I think it makes them better. It makes them more accountable. And, if you're going to go over every tiny little aspect of a NHL player's game you should be able to dissect a little bit of the officials' game. Not saying anything was majorly wrong last night or even at all this season. I'm just saying that that's what I would like to see happen for that accountability. But it was good, and I've got here the post-game press conference from Coach Bear. So let's see what Bear had to say about everything.
Okay. There's a little bit to unpack, actually, on that game. I think it was a huge game, was an important game against division rival, and found the way to win, to get the 2 points. There's as well, to be honest, we had the lead in the third by 2 goals. Well, I'd love to close that game right there. I think we got a little bit nervous. We lost a little bit, we lost our composure with the puck. And like I often say, there's 2 things important when you're protecting a lead, is having poise with the puck. Having poise with the puck doesn't mean to be slow. It's to be fast and to keep moving your feet and moving the puck, and to have a lot of pace defensively, which is our strength. And for probably 50 minutes, they had the one scoring chance in the first 13 minutes of the third, because we had pace, because we were on them. And then we became a little bit too conservative, and they were able to come back. I think that said, without spending too much time on that, we need to retain when they tie the game, how we respond. We took the momentum back, and we went and we forecheck, and we had good opportunity or good possession in their zone, and from there they had nothing. So that was a good response. So there's a lot of teaching moment in that game. There's thing we can do better, but there's thing as well we need to build on it. We play, like I said, 53, a really good minute of hockey, and we deserve to have the lead by 2 goals. We stumble for a little while. We need to learn from it and get better and take that seriously. But at the same time, we can be proud of when adversity was there, we responded right away, and we were really strong in our finish and find a way to get the 2 points. So we had a little bit of everything today.
What were the elements that were most successful in those first 2 periods that allowed you to have 3 different lines contribute and to control pace and have quick passing?
Well, I will say 4 line contribute, because the line who did not score were absolutely elite at shutting down one of the best lines in the league. And they played a hell of a game. Well, it's not true they scored a goal as well, but I'm really proud of the way Aids, Gunner, and Crosser handle it. And, sometimes the way I match line, I'm not a hard match line guy, so sometimes it costs them a little bit of ice time. So it's a big pill to swallow for them, but they do it for the benefit of the team. And I always want to make sure the line who's playing against the top line on the other side is fresh. I don't want tired line. So sometimes, like I said, costs them a little bit of time, ice time, but they manage it like pros, and they did a really good job. Really proud of them, no doubt about it. And to your point, I think we talk about a little bit of adjustment we wanted in the ozone, and it paid off. Boys did a good job. We score a goal in those kind of that kind of situation, but we still score a goal in the blue paint. We won a lot of battles, so there were a lot of positive against the team. We defend really well.
Kraus was talking.
So after that, it's there's more to that video, obviously, that I wanted to get to. But there's a lot more I want to get to regarding all of that. And in fact, any other normal episode, I would have liked to have dissected and maybe even heard from a couple of the players after the game. And normally that's what I'm going to give you on these captain's logs, where we break into it. But I want to talk a little bit about the Colorado Avalanche game, just so you have a clear expectation of what to expect tomorrow. Or tonight, whenever you're listening to this, because I think this drops at Tuesday morning at 4:30 a.m. because that's what the algorithm says to do. So that's why that happens. But man, there's a lot going on, and if you know what it is already, then you know it's a big deal. But so tonight, this is kind of crazy with the Colorado Avalanche coming into town. It's the top scoring offense in the NHL. They're the top team in the NHL. They have 2 losses in overtime. They are everything you want our Utah Mammoth to be, right? So 26-2-7 on the year. 26-2-7 on the year. This reminds me back of the the Red Wings dynasties when it just seems like they just ran the table all year. So they have 59 points in the standing, where Utah has 39 points in the standing. So we're 20 points or 10 wins behind them. That's crazy. But Utah's not far out of the playoff picture. That's also crazy. It just shows you how much Colorado's done. Their top scorers right now, it's insane what they're doing. Makar's got 43 points as a defenseman. 43 points as a defenseman. McKinnon has 61 points. Just to give you an idea, our leading points guys have 32 points. So there's a big difference in what we're up against. And I'll tell you why that's pretty strange in just a second too. But I want to talk about goaltending. They've been going with Scott Wedgwood most of the season. They have an amazing 1-2 combination. And besides, they call them the Woods. You got Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood. Besides the fact that they're amazing goaltenders, I've talked about it on the show before, how well they support each other and how that is absolutely devastating to anybody that's going to play them, because when you've got two goalies that are competing with each other but also support each other, it just creates this dynamic that every coach just salivates thinking they could get. You have goalies that make each other better, and they take kind of that I don't know, maybe some of the insanity out of having a backup that's always maybe trying to stab you in the back, or whose parents are talking crap about you in the stands, or whatever. The way these two are approaching the game makes it so that they're very scary to play against, because whoever you're playing against is going to be good. Scott Wedgwood's played 22 games this year. He has a 92% save average. He's 15 wins, 1 loss, 4 overtime losses with a 2.1 goals against. Pretty impressive. Mackenzie Blackwood has played 14 games, 11 wins, 1 loss, 1 overtime loss, and a 92% save average. So just to give you an idea, Veggie's played 29 games this year. He's 16 wins, 10 losses, 2 overtime losses, currently standing at a 2.7 goals against average, which is pretty good, and he's at an 89%, almost 90%. He's getting there. It started out a little rough this year with some of the breakaways and stuff. So in Veggie we trust. Got to thank Broccoli Brandon for getting me my Veggie sticker. That's going to go somewhere. I was trying to put it on a microphone or something, but we'll get that there. And don't forget, if you love stickers, speaking of stickers, look at this. Just give you a little idea, little glimpse into the future of the new logo that's coming for the Utah Puck Report. Look at these. Look at how cool these stickers are. So anyway, some stickers coming out. If you want some of these, if you want one of these awesome Utah Mammoth stickers, or if you want one of these awesome Utah Puck Report stickers, let me know and I'll get them to you. Just throw me a message, and I don't know, maybe I'll have you Venmo me $5 or something, just so I'm not going to lose money shipping them to you. Or you can come pick them up. Maybe you can come meet me at the table. Anyway, the thing that blows my mind about the Colorado Avalanche, with all their points and all their awesome players, and most of their goals are coming 5-on-5. So when I started looking at, goals by period, it's pretty consistent. They've got 42 in the first, 48 in the second, and 49 in the third, where, Utah's kind of struggled a little bit in the second period. We talked about that a little bit. Not fun at all. So they average 4 goals a game. Utah averages 3 goals a game. Avalanche keep their opponents to 2 goals a game, and Utah's keeping their opponents to 2.9. But here's where it gets crazy. The power play for the Colorado Avalanche, the highest, most potent offense in the NHL, is 26th in the NHL when it comes to power play. They have 20 goals on 122 opportunities. So when you compare that to the Utah Mammoth, who have 17 on 110 and they're 28th. So the power plays are about the same. So as frustrated as us Utah fans have been watching and being shoot, it's going on with those guys too. And you watch their power play and their puck movement's just phenomenal. And then something happens. It's one little bounce. And I was seeing it so much last night in the Winnipeg game. There's just one little bounce, one tiny little thing that prevents a shot from getting off or makes it go wide, or we're just one tiny bounce away from a 5-goal game instead of a 3-goal game. And yeah, some of it's goaltending and some of it's been backup goaltenders, but it's crazy. But on the penalty kill, the Mammoth are 7th in the NHL, and this is where Cal McCarr and those guys come through. The Colorado Avalanche has the best penalty kill in the NHL at 85%. Unheard of. Absolutely unheard of. Again, it reminds me back of those Detroit Red Wings days when just nobody could beat them, nobody could score on them, and they could just score at will. And maybe a little bit back to those Pittsburgh days. And if you want to go way back, kind of the Islanders ran that same show. And so expect hard game tomorrow. Expect a hard game tonight. If we could push them, like I'm shooting for overtime. Of course, in my heart of hearts, I think the Mammoth are going to beat everybody, and I want them to beat everybody, and I believe in the Mammoth. In my heart of hearts, I'm hoping for overtime. I'd love to beat them in overtime. I wouldn't mind losing to them in overtime. I would just love to get a point out of tonight's game and go into the Christmas break with some good vibes and some happiness, and knowing that like this is the bar. This is where we need to be as a team. This is where the Utah Mammoth need to be as a team. This is what we're shooting for. The Florida Panthers are a great example, not this year because of injuries, but how they're built, how Colorado's built. You've got just talent everywhere, which Utah has. Man, it just looks so good when you start looking at the prospects that are coming up through the chain for the Mammoth. So really good things coming up. Feel free to comment before the game what you think the final score is going to be. I'm not going to do – well, should I do it? I don't know. I don't want to be negative because I think it's going to be – I'm thinking 5-3 Colorado. This is the first time in 2 years that I've ever picked another team to win. But I'm just trying to be realistic. I want to be honest. And Colorado's so good. And, right behind them, Dallas is really good too. So that's what we're shooting for as fans. That's what we want the Utah Mammoth to look like. So we're playing the big brother. We're playing what we want to be in the future, and let's hope for the best. That's all I'm going to say. And now I don't want to make this too long. We're trying to keep these podcasts less than 28 minutes because, again, that's the algorithm. I'll lose you after 28 minutes. But let's talk about what's going on right now with this just came out. I'll read it to you. The PHPA has served notice on Monday tonight, December 26th, or effective December 26th. All ECHL players are going to go on strike. And there's a lot of reasons that this has happened. They've been negotiating for over a year, or almost a year now. And it comes down to, obviously, pay is always number one. But as a union member and as a firefighter, I can tell you that safety is also up there. And conditions are also up there. And if you're not familiar with what happens in the East Coast League, I guess we just call it the ECHL now. But the ECHL, when you sign a contract with them, you'll make $400 or $500 a week, and they're supposed to provide you an apartment. You're supposed to have your own room in that apartment. And when you go on the road, they're supposed to give you so much money for food, and you're supposed to get so many days off a year and 1 day per week. Well, one of the things the ECHL has been doing is they'll go and they'll play, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or they'll go into a town, and like say the Grizzlies go into Boise and they play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then they bus home. Or if they're, even worse, if they're in Rapid City or something, and then they got to bus home. The league is saying that Sunday where they were on the bus for 8 hours was their day off. And then they don't get a day off on Monday. They're back at the rink. They're back doing their thing. And so it puts you at real risk. There have been a lot of studies that look into the travel and the sleep of athletes and how that contributes. If you're not getting the sleep you're supposed to get, there's a real uptick in the percentages of you getting hurt and the chances of you getting hurt. So the league's been fighting. The union's been fighting for a long time. The union wants one thing, and the league's saying, hey, we've got owners that are pouring money. Like a lot of these teams don't make money, and a lot of them do make money, but they're saying, hey, we're doing the best we can with what we got. And the league's saying, well, we have these standards. We have the collective bargaining agreement. And then the other thing that kind of bugs me about it, let me see if I can find it here. Besides the low pay and the harsh working conditions and the all that other stuff, the ECHL went to kind of bullying tactics, which violate a lot of labor laws. They have a union. The ECHL has a union. And the league went around the union and sent emails directly to the players, basically trying to intimidate them, trying to coerce them into not using the union, and almost it just sounds corrupt to me. And it sounds just using, intimidation and bullying instead of sitting down and negotiating and trying to make the best thing. Because I'll tell you, these kids want to play hockey, and they want to play in front of you. They want to be there in front of the fans, and they want to be able to survive and not get hurt, and they want to be able to be professional athletes while they're there. And if you're making, inflation's hit all of us. And so if you're one of these kids that comes in and you're making $1,000 a month and you're trying to make that work, or you're making $1,500 a month and you're like, hey, I gotta, this is so I can train all summer. I gotta still live here a little bit. I gotta pay for my food. I gotta pay, gas or whatever while I'm here. Yeah, their rent's free, so you got to include that into their pay. But there's a lot of other stuff that goes into being a professional athlete at that level, and a lot of it is through self-sacrifice. So it's that kind of stuff that makes it shocking to me that the league hasn't found a way to come to these owners and find more money. I've watched the Utah Grizzlies for years cut corners, and that I'm not talking negative about them. I've just watched them cut corners, and I've watched them not try to pay people when they're supposed to pay. I've watched people file their complaint with the union from the locker room at the Grizzlies. I've been there 26 years, and I've seen a lot of stuff go on there. And it's not because the Grizzlies are bad people. It's because they're bare budget, and they're trying to cut down. That's why, 15 years ago, you go to the front door, and there's nobody working the desk. They just went away from all that. It's people that sell tickets and radio guy. That's it. And the radio guy does everything. Tyson does everything. Adrian did everything before him. So you've got a lot of people wearing a lot of hats, taking a lot of sacrifices, and that includes the management of the Grizzlies. Nobody's making tons of money over there. So they're doing the best they can with what they got, but they cut a lot of corners, and sometimes that comes at the expense of some of the players. And that's just the league. And it's tough. It's tough to think that in this season, which is the Grizzlies' last season, that they could have possibly already played their last game. Like, it could be over as of right now. Because if they go on strike on the 26th, I didn't look at the schedule, but this could be their last game. That's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of us. The Grizzlies have meant so much to. Yeah, I love the Utah Mammoth. I'm stoked that we have the NHL here. And don't come at me saying that Ryan Smith is the reason the Grizzlies are leaving. Because, look, I've looked at every aspect of it, and that's not true. And it's not. And then you come at me and say, and believe me, I'm just, if it's not you, I'm just telling you the people that are coming at me online saying, well, then he should have bought him. He should have done this. That's easy for you to say with your money for a guy that just dropped $1.2 billion and is dropping another $1 billion of his own, plus getting $1 billion from the city to update the Delta Center and make hockey amazing and affordable and available to everybody. So it's not because of the Mammoth that the Grizzlies are leaving. It's because the ownership decided to sell it and they're going somewhere else. If somebody else would have purchased it and the West Valley would have been, agreeable to some other deal, then they would have stayed. But I don't think that was presented. I don't think it was approached. And we're just dealing with the mess that we've got. I do believe that minor league hockey will be back in Utah. I believe something else will be at the Maverick Center. But I don't know what's going to happen the rest of this season. But I wanted you to hear it from me. I wanted you to know that if there's not an agreement made within the next 3 days, or, if this is coming out on the 23rd, so 3 days, then we're going to have a strike. And I don't know how long strikes, it always depends, but it seems like the owners have really sunk their heels in. They don't want to pay more. And I'm always just thankful to the owners that, that they're, if their team's not making money, that somehow they've made enough money off whatever else they do in their life that they can, give affordable hockey to people like you and me that will go to every Grizzlies game and will go to every Idaho Steelheads game, or, the Allen Americans. Those are teams that are well taken care of. And those owners don't really get anything in return except for the satisfaction of knowing that they're making people like us happy and giving us hockey we can afford to go to. Because as a civil servant, I can maybe afford to go to one Mammoth game a year, maybe two. I don't know. There are some cheap tickets. We can get cheap tickets if we look hard enough. I can sit in the upper bowl with everybody else for sure. Sometimes you can see the hockey better from up there. You can see the systems better. But that's the news I wanted to break. Is the ECHL, unless some miracle happens, will go on strike December 26th. So Merry Christmas to all of us big hockey fans. We're losing an entire league for a while. My fingers are crossed. That's what I'm going to ask Santa for when I go sit on his lap tomorrow night. I'm going to ask him for the owners to make an agreement that'll provide for these players and make them whole and keep the league going. Even if it's not in Utah, I don't want to see the ECHL go away. But again, let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. Let me know where your head's at. Let me know what else I should be looking into and talking about. And also, don't forget your opportunity to win big tickets to our end of the regular season, which hopefully is going to be our kickoff to playoffs for the first time ever for the Utah Mammoth. I've got that huge Gallagher Club suite that's got food, drinks, and everything. So giveaways are going to start being announced January 1st, and I just want you to participate. I want you to be there. So hit me up if you want stickers. Hit me up if you want to talk more about hockey, or if there's more you think I'm missing, or another story out there. I've got 3 more stories I'm working on that have nothing to do with Mammoth or Grizzlies right now. So let's keep it going. Let's have positive vibes. Everybody, when you're wishing upon a star or talking to Santa Claus or whatever your deity is, let's just hope that the Utah Grizzlies can finish out this season, because we want at least that, right? We can't have it just all of a sudden be done. I have tickets to the last game. I'm planning on being there, and probably, I'm going to have to bring a tissue to cry into or something, and wear sunglasses so nobody knows I'm crying, because the Grizzlies mean a lot to a lot of us. It's been a good run for 30 plus years, and I'd hate to see it go this way. So anyway, thanks for listening to me babble. I will have a Utah Mammoth on. I think I've got McBain on coming up this week after Christmas. So everybody have a very Merry Christmas. Love your loved ones, and just be thankful that life is what it is. And I wish the best for all of you. And that is the Utah Puck Report.